Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today we're covering the cards which were shown within episode 16 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. The first card is Washing Musketeer Shooter. It's a level 2 water attribute warrior type effect monster. It has 0 attack and 800 defense. The requirement is if this card was normal summoned this turn and your opponent controls a face-up monster, it must be a level 7 or higher. As an effect, you can choose one spell card in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck and draw one card. So essentially you're able to recover that spell card. It's a shame it doesn't go back to your hand because then you can reuse it, but you know, for Rush Duels that might be a bit too broken for it. But you do manage to draw an extra card which could be potentially quite useful. The next card is Clean Beret Kernel Mop. It's a level 7 Earth attribute warrior type effect monster with 2300 attack and 1200 defense. The requirement is if your opponent controls a face-up monster level 7 or higher, and your effect is to choose one spell card in your graveyard and place it on top of your deck. That's a little bit more useful than the previous monster just because you're able to instantly draw into that you guarantee that's your next card unless, I don't know, Phoenix Wing Blast actually makes an appearance within, Rush Duels at some point. But having that certainty means unless you're also forced to have your deck shuffled, you should be okay and have some kind of confidence. The next card is White Foam Bleach Motor. It's a normal spell card, and the effect is choose one face-up monster. It must be a level 7 or higher. Your opponent controls, it loses 500 attack until the end of this turn, and then you also inflict 500 damage to your opponent. The burn damage is okay, and the stat reduction is decent. You don't have too many powerful monsters out there, although it being a normal spell card means it's not it doesn't deal with your opponent that well. You're having to use it on your turn and not your opponent's. Had that been a trap card, I think it might have been slightly better, but of course it does rely on your opponent having a level 7 or higher monster, and chances are the 500 reduction might not be that big of a deal. The next card is Foam Wall Barrier. It's a normal trap card, and the requirement is when your opponent normal summons a monster which is level 5 or higher, while you control a face-up monster level 7 or higher, which has to be a water attribute. The effect is until the end of this turn, that monster cannot activate its effects or attack directly. Okay, this is very unusual. I can see what they're trying to do with it. It's things like Hallowed Life Barrier and kind of anything, Wabuku as well, Bubble, and there's a Bubble card as well, which is in Yugioh, which is all meant to be introduced to negate and stop attacks. Negate attack as well is another example, but this is too reliant on too many conditions. Your opponent needs to be able to kind of bring out a stronger monster, and you also have to have a stronger monster yourself, and it has to be a water attribute. Relying on these two factors, unless you're running a pure build of something, then it's just not a viable option. And the final card is Self-Fan Club. This is a normal spell card with no requirements. The effect is to choose 2 monsters. They must be psychic type in your graveyard, and special to them, summon them to your opponent's field in defense position. Then you gain 1000 life points. Bad idea. I don't like the design of this card at all. 1000 life points aren't really going to do much for you. Whereas your opponent is given 2 monsters, they can instantly tribute over for a level 7 or 8 monster. And essentially those life points you've gained, you will be losing that quickly. What do you guys think of these cards? Is there anything particularly you like? Personally, from my point of view, I don't see anything worthwhile in here. It's just how it is at the moment. Rush Duels might speed up a little bit later on. Whatever you think, leave the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily Yu-Gi-Oh content.